Okay, there we go. Welcome. So thank you, everybody. For those of you who don't know, I'm John Knox White. I'm the Vice Mayor of Alameda. I want to welcome you and thank you all for joining me on this. Looks like it's slowly turning into a lovely day in Alameda. Nice time to wait for the weather to turn and join each other online before nicer weather. I want to thank City Manager Eric Levitt for being here with me today, and also acknowledge that Mayor Marilyn Izzy Ashcraft is also in the audience listening, and thank Sarah Henry for helping me set this up. As well as our business associations who definitely help to spread the word and give me some feedback on when would be an okay time to hold this. We are going to try something a little different for those of you who were on the last call with me. Try something a little bit different, which is allowing people to actually speak instead of just type. And in doing so, our Sarah has muted everybody, and she's going to set it so people can unmute themselves. But I'm going to ask everybody to let me know if they would like to speak by typing in the message that I have a question or a comment, and then I will call on people, and you can unmute yourself, and we're just going to kind of slowly go through that way. So as we move through this technology, I think, you know, last time I looked, we have about 45 people on here. I think having 45 people all try to talk over Zoom at the same time is probably not going to work very well. So we'll control this a little bit, but we'll move forward through questions and comments expeditiously that way. Really, when I spoke with the city manager about setting this up last week, you know, this was not so much an opportunity for me to come and tell everybody what is happening or whatnot, although I'm definitely happy to try to answer what questions I am able to, and Eric probably has even more information than I do. But as next Monday rolls around, May 18th, and we are starting to hear from the city of San Francisco and parts of our region that are going to slowly be opening up for business. The city has scheduled the Mayor's Economic Development Advisory Panel to meet on Thursday evening. We will, I will, at the end of the meeting, put the link to that meeting in the Zoom chat. That will be another Zoom meeting that people can tune into. And the topic of that discussion is really reopening for business. And so this is a conversation that I know many people on the council, on staff, in our businesses are having. How does Alameda do that? And from my standpoint, I was interested in hearing mostly from you about what would be ways in which the city can support, lead, follow, get out of the way with reopening as we go through this unprecedented process, something that we have not, nobody here has experience with. We've been on lockdown for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, something like that. And we're going to be slowly asking people to come out and engage with the community in a very mindful and careful way. Right. So right now we went from phases 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're talking about phase 2A, which is kind of this limited soft opening, curbside pickup and whatnot. And so again, like I said, I'm not planning on doing a lot of talking, except if there are questions or in engaging in conversation. But as we're talking about things like a world in which for the next month or so, we are encouraging people not to go and shop in stores, but we are encouraging people to go to shop in stores and curbside pickup. How can we make sure that we're using our businesses, using the public space in our business districts outside our businesses as well to facilitate that? One of my great fears coming out of this endeavor is the damage that has been done to our local economies by really empowering online retail, et cetera, in a way that I think we really need to make sure that people are comfortable, feel safe and supported and encouraged to come back into our business districts and to our local shops to shop and spend their money and support their local economy that way. One of the ways we can do that is by making it easy to do. Anybody who's driven down Park Street at about 6:30 in the evening knows the chaos that occurs with all the Uber Eats and Grubhub and Caviar and just individual folks lining up to pick up food and take it home, etc. There are some places now where you can go and they've actually started marking out Grubhub orders are getting picked up in this place, Uber Eats are getting picked up along this wall, right? And starting really to direct people, those drivers to go. But I don't know that we've figured out exactly how to get food out of restaurants or out of stores and into cars without people having to park and walk over there. And I do think that that is a place that hopefully our city can be thinking about very quickly, because if we're asking everybody to drive, pick something up and leave, and at the same time everybody is circling looking for parking and walking 2 blocks to get that stuff, I think it's going to be difficult. And I think that our commercial districts are going to be the places that are really going to be able to take a lead in how we impact that. Eric, I was just gonna, sorry, I jumped right in. I was telling Sarah, for some reason, I'm just feeling a little jumpy and nervous today. So I nervously jumped in without actually allowing you to say hello and introduce yourself really quick. We are not hearing you. Sarah muted you on the screen.
There we go.
There we go.
I'm Eric Levitt. I'm the city manager, and similar to the vice mayor, and I believe the mayor is also on the line. I'm here to mostly hear from you, and also provide any information if there's information that you're looking for or things that you want the city to be aware of. In addition, I want to introduce 2 staff people I have seen. I don't see her on the screen right now, but Lois Butler, our economic development manager, is on. Oh, there she is. I see her now. And Eric Fonstein from economic development is also here. So I want to make sure you're aware of that.
Thank you to you and the staff, everybody, for being here. The second place that I'm interested in hearing from the community, from the business community, about is how can the city. There may be some places where the business community itself is going to want to take leadership in helping to design the systems that are going to support our local businesses. I think that there, between our staff already working extremely hard and being pulled in directions, or maybe not always having the full capacity to do new and innovative things, as well as just keeping the city going and doing all the new and innovative things that they're already doing. How can the city support that? I was on a call the other day that was talking a lot about shop local and whatnot. I think that's definitely something that can be talked at. We've definitely had a shop Alameda campaign in the past, but I think that really looking at how we make sure that our community knows we're open for business, that $1 spent in a store on Webster Street, in one of our stations on Park Street, is more than $1 spent at Target online or Amazon. Or something like that, where the local benefits beyond getting the product you wanted is not as great. So anyway, that's 10 minutes of me talking in an hour-long thing, so I'm going to stop now. As I said, if you have questions, comments, ideas, I think I was hopeful that this could be the beginning of just a conversation that hopefully is going to lead itself into the Thursday night's meeting. I know that our business districts are. Thank you. Sarah has posted the link to the Mayor's Economic Development Advisory Panel, where you can get some more information about that. Anyway, if there are any questions or comments or ideas that people would like to start with, I think that would be, I'd be happy to call upon you. Let's see here. So Barbara, if you want to unmute yourself, actually, we're going to try to let people talk rather than just type. You want to,
Hi.
there you go. Hi.
So one of the things that, we've been starting to talk about in the marketing committee for the downtown is how do we promote different segments of our downtown members and do it effectively so it helps all of them. Like one of the things we were about to work on before all of this went crazy was a new video for the movie theater, and instead of, because you can't highlight all the restaurants, literally doing a 5 a.m. photo shoot with all the chefs in their full chef garb in the street as the sun's coming up, and this is the perfect place to eat, and kind of thinking, doing it so it's very homey, where it's almost like Sesame Street's, these are the people in your neighborhood. Because not only are you keeping dollars here, but you're supporting a town that, in an urban area, it's never heard of, that the majority of the business owners live in this town. They raise their kids in this town.
Yeah.
So I would love to find out who's working on that stuff and really help with that if I can.
Right, that's great. I mean, to me, I'm sure that staff has ideas on this as well. That might be an example of a place where we need to see some, and I don't know how to ask this because of course everybody's been shut down and is now trying to figure out how to restart and whatnot. But hopefully there are some private folks as well who could maybe help do that, because I think it's probably the idea that city, at least in my mind, the idea that city staff's going to be able to pump out a video like that in a week, although Sarah does some pretty amazing stuff. So I won't speak too much for her. I think it's a really important idea, and actually, tying on to what you're doing, I think we should be playing up that a lot of these local businesses also were the people who stepped up and helped our community, right? So when you're putting your money back in, you're putting money back into people who stepped up during this pandemic and helped and were there to support people. And it looks like, Sarah, I can't tell if you have something you wanted to add, or okay, sorry.
So
I can
Sarah,
see.
can I email you? Because we already have like the workings. Like I have a video guy and I have the stuff.
Yeah, please email me. That'd be great.
Okay, I will.
That's awesome. Great. Yeah, so I think that is definitely one of those things. The question I have also, hi Ron, the question I have also is how we can also take this to, are there ways in which we can make it easier to shop local? Are there ways in which we can find to help coordinate if somebody is shopping at 2 or 3 different places up on Park Street or on Webster Street or on Park and Webster Street, where we can coordinate have some sort of coordinated pickups? Are there people who are looking for work who can do coordinated deliveries and whatever else? And is there a way for us to develop a hub that would allow businesses to coordinate? Are you raising your hand, Ron?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I actually even posted, and it looks like you were friends with the gentleman. Looks like that's out of service, but I love that idea. I was trying to look to see if we still have a bicycle delivery service in town, and I haven't talked to any other members of the downtown association, but I would love to try to figure out how to, even if it's for a 6-month period, try to even maybe underwrite that so that we have it. As I think the downtown has embraced the idea of expanding the sidewalk into the parking strip and then having and I don't know what to call it right now, a standing strip, not a long-term parking along the next lane of travel, and then only one travel lane in each direction. So I think that's going to be interesting how we could, not enforce is the bad word, but try to get compliance with people that says, hey, and as you know, the 6:30 time in the downtown is interesting, but at 9 o'clock at night, there's very little cars. So that makes it a lot easier. But we're certainly willing to do a 3-month, a 6-month trial and work with you all to make this. I think it's very important that we try to do that. And one other thing, the Alameda Theater, Barbara can speak to it much more eloquently than I, but that's an amazing asset that this community has and that this downtown has. And we need to make sure that the city's doing everything they can to work with them to be able to be a long-term asset for years to come.
Yeah, great, thank you. So we have 4 other people who have asked to speak, and so I think that's a good point. I will point out there's going to be a conversation next week on Tuesday night about kind of the Slow Streets program, and I think that that's a great place to talk and wrap some of these conversations about what slow streets in our business districts look like as well. So let's see, Knox, do you want to, if you want to unmute yourself, I'd love to hear from you.
Hi. I'm actually a CPA by background. I work in the city. I do have a business in electrolyzed reduced water. And so what I do is I educate people on the importance of hydration and drinking hydrogen-rich water. And what I would love to partner with the city is how do I have a platform to educate people on health and wellness and hydration. So is that something that the city can help me in that aspect? Because I think right now it's very important that we have proper health awareness, hydration, and understanding, how water can help us.
Sure. So, I think if you have ideas, Eric Fonstein and Lois Butler are on the call. They are kind of key people who work on supporting our local businesses and whatever else. I think they would be the folks you would want to connect with on that to see how we can work. How we could, if there's a place that would work into a city program like that. Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you. All right. Donna Chang, and then we have Debbie George after that. Donna, if you want to unmute yourself.
Hi. Yeah.
Hi.
So, I am a local acupuncturist, and I am just wondering, because our business is, we're thinking about starting to do some sort of acupuncture to go. Not needles, but ear seeds and there are patches. But then one of the challenges for healthcare providers is that a lot of my colleagues are talking they have to because if you have to say spend every 20 minutes in every hour to basically disinfect, you have to raise your prices. And that's gonna make things really, makes it really hard for the business. It makes things more unaffordable. And that's just something that's all the healthcare practitioners that I know are struggling with. But if there is a way, say, I know some colleagues of mine, if they have a parking lot in their, that comes with their rental space, they're talking about doing more say acupuncture in the car, say, where people do ear acupuncture, and people are sit in the car for half an hour or something. Basically, when it's an outdoor space, you only have to sanitize. The things that you have to disinfect is pretty minimal. And so, but then there are people like us, where we only have street parking. And then so is there a way? And then meanwhile, there are a lot of parking lots that's not in use because businesses are closed. Is there a way to sort of have some synergy for people to kind of take their business outdoor in a space so that it's more accessible for people, because they're saying with outdoor the airflow is just better.
Right. Well, so it sounds to me so the city is in this awkward, I don't know if it's awkward, but this position where the kind of what is allowed to happen is coming from our county health department, which we don't have we have conversations with, we do speak with them, but we don't have say over what they do. And so, one of the things I've been wondering about, and maybe what I hear you saying could be useful would be, I think that we're going to have to figure out unique and new ways to provide services to keep costs down, and just to make sure that some of our businesses that are more hands-on, especially acupuncture, medical, health, whatever else. I wonder if there would be a place for the city to kind of support some working groups, and I'm sure that what you're addressing, I'm sure you're talking to businesses in Berkeley and San Leandro and whatnot, but I'm wondering if there would be a way for us to maybe partner and advocate for some working groups to work through some of these things with the Department of Public Health as they go forward. I haven't heard, and I'll look to Eric. I don't know if you know Eric. Sorry, I'm looking at he's right above your head. I don't know if you know if there are any working groups on some of these issues, but it seems like there might be some places, and this would definitely be one of them where we could help advocate at the county level, that we bring in some practitioners to start thinking through how can we help support them opening up, rather than telling them, sorry, it's gonna be 6 months before you can go back to full work or whatnot. Does that sound right, Eric?
Muted. So to answer the question, I'm not sure if they do have practitioner work groups, but I'll ask them if they do and if they're open to that concept. At this time, I'm not aware if they do that. A lot of it goes through the Board of Supervisors. So let me check into whether they have direct groups that they work with. I do know that they've worked with some businesses also that have been dealing with how they work into a phase 2, or how they work through getting open back up.
Yeah. I'd like to, one thing, and I'm confident the entire city council would be on board with this. I just want to make sure that we're not that the county's not prioritizing people who are allowed on Twitter, and opening up one business, let's say Tesla, and at the same time not spending the time. I'm really concerned about making sure that we're supporting our local businesses, because again, they bring the money back into our communities. They support our communities, and they provide important services. So Donna, I think that's one way to try to answer your question. Like I said, I don't know that the city is going to be able to say you can do this, because at the end of the day, we have to ask the county health department. And so I think maybe one of the something we could do is help to bring that conversation a little bit more to the fore. I don't know if that sounds useful. I know it sounds like, and I'm saying, hey, some more work for you to do. But I think the conversation in trying to figure this out is going to be important.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So I think what I heard was Mr. Levitt will look into whether or not that's something we could at least start connecting on, and then I think our business districts, and we'll get information out to folks who would be interested in joining that conversation to see how we could support that reopening and supportive practices.
Well, I think like one question I have is like just like how there might be designated like parking spots, like street parking for deliveries. Like, I mean, like basically, like I think the Alameda County Health Department, I think it's like April 29, is saying like it's a part of the thing that's allowed is for people to go get their health services. But it's like, would it be, so I think it's more like a zoning thing, like, right, to be like able to use the street parking space, let's say, outside of our clinic for this purpose, for example.
Okay. I wrote that. I can't answer that question, but I can write that question down, ask our city attorney and our city manager about whether or not that would even be something that we could legally look at. And then we could certainly pursue from that direction.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Debbie, George, I saw you pop in there briefly.
Hi there.
Hi.
I want to speak on behalf of a commercial downtown landlord as well as a small business. And so I have double concerns, one for my little business that's within my property, and especially for my tenants. Because before this even happened, the economy was taking a nosedive for some of the retail industry. So that's been a big concern about having, supporting our local businesses is what we're all about. My thought was, and just an idea, suggestion, is we have a lot of what they call banner stations in town that we can string banners across. We do that for all the events that we have. if the city supported something like this to advertise shop local, support your small businesses, and even if they listed categories, not necessarily names of businesses, but categories, and just blanket the city all over with support. We had done this as a Park Street Business Association back when the theater was opening up, and it really worked. It just showed camaraderie amongst the community, as well as the city, as well as the downtown. So I just look at it as a positive feel. I know there's probably reservations on street banners about events that people rented, but if the community got together and saw that, you know, kind of a reminder to shop local, I think that would be beneficial.
John, I think you might have muted yourself on your remote.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you. It
Sorry,
doesn't bring me.
and I was like texting and messaging, and I'm like, wait a second, I can just tell him. So apologies.
Sorry, everybody. So I was saying, Mr. Gantos had a question about non-businesses. I was interested in hearing a little bit more about what you were thinking, if you're still with us.
Hi, folks. Thanks for having the meetings. I know most everybody here is in the direct retail spot, and just a little preface. You know, I think we'll be in a tier 2 manufacturing business coming back, but our manufacturing goes for conventions and large meetings that are probably going to be tier 4. So Hot Rod Shop, which is over at Alameda Marina, we've turned to, we opened up our buildings for some PPE making early on in this, and we're still searching around for ideas to work with the city of Alameda, who we love, to contribute back to the betterment of the city. But at this point also, we're looking at a year lag, really, we believe, at minimum, till our real root business, like at Moscone Center and Las Vegas Convention Centers, open back up. So I want to join to kind of, I'm just trying to think, what can we pivot towards? And if we do pivot, what could it do? What could we pivot towards that can help our community? So I just wanted to throw that out there, and I'll mute now and carry on.
Thank you very much. Nice to see you, Eric. I know in some of the conversations I've had, I think this is an opportunity for the city to help to work with our business districts to connect people. So where we have businesses, you know, like yours or St. George's Spirits, which is, you know, started, you know, kind of, they mobilize themselves to start making alcohol, et cetera. As we're moving into this new era with PPE that is hard to come by, how can we connect people who are selling that, right? So we have there is a direct to consumer market, and, you know, we have our local stores, and if you're making, let's say you're making masks, or somebody is making masks or something like that, then it would be great to connect them with local stores that can sell those masks as well. I just think we've got to find every unique opportunity to connect people to support our community as possible. And so I think that that's definitely a place, you know, Lois, Eric, Amanda, who has joined us as well on the call, are great, you know, it would be well positioned to help work with the business districts to see if there's a way that we could convene some places to make those connections. So thank you. Alan, Mr. Mann, I don't know if you wanted to, I know you asked your question here in the comments, but if you wanted to say hello.
Oh, sure. I would just, on a very practical matter, one of the ways that will be necessary to get both employees and customers back is to be sure that our shops are safe. And one of the things we're looking at this point are two things, one of which I just sent a note to Eric about, which is we're going to need PPE. We have dog groomers. But secondly, each individual business is going to have to figure out on its own how to get the cleaning done that is going to be necessary to keep the businesses safe. And if we're looking for ways that we could work collectively to make it easier for individual businesses, it might be helpful for either the city or the business associations to assist with the identification of vendors and some sort of a schedule so that we can get this done easily and quickly, and then let the community know that these disinfections are going on so that they and our own employees will feel more comfortable about coming into our business.
Yeah, that's a great point. I will tack on to that the County of San Francisco yesterday issued guidance for 3 different types of businesses, restaurants and takeout being one of them. I'm forgetting what the other 2 are right now. I sent those links to city staff yesterday, but I think we're going to start seeing really solid guidance on what is needed to keep the safety, because I agree with you. We're not going to rebuild ourselves until people feel comfortable getting out there and being in our community. And what I hear you saying, which I think is really great, is how do we bring together people who have resources, not just local. How do we make sure that everybody, they see the guidance, and then there's almost and here are the people who can help you meet this guidance. And even if our business districts wanted to coordinate businesses that wanted to possibly contract with a specific vendor in order to provide services to 5 or 6 businesses. I think that would be another place where possibly local business could save a little bit of money, but also lower the administrative impact of let's say 10 different businesses having 10 different contracts as well. And I think where that sounds like a great idea. Where I want to be very careful because I don't want to, assign lots of great new ideas to our city staff who, like I said, is working really, really, really hard. And the last thing they need is somebody like me just saying like, I've got 7 new things that would be awesome if you did. But finding ways to at least support the business districts in identifying that and thinking through it and whatnot. You're very lucky that I think certainly WABA and the chamber. I haven't met Kathy from DABA in person, so she seems fabulous. But I think the WABA and the chamber as well have just fabulous leadership who have shown themselves to really be stepping up and having strong voices on this. And so I think we have a good leadership team. So looking for ways for us to support them in providing that guidance, those links, et cetera, I think would be a really good idea. So thank you for bringing that up. Mr. Wolf, I see you're talking about kind of collectively coming together to discuss takeout and pickup. I don't know if you had other additional comments you wanted to add on that. To me, this is another place where maybe we can coordinate the restaurant sector in Alameda to come together and at least in some places where they all are lined up like next to each other to figure out how to make this work. Hi, how are you?
Hi, fine. Yeah, it's just that there are some really great restaurants, and they all need an applause because I think they're great around town. But they're set up differently, really for sit down. And I see some angst on the consumer end from trying to do takeout, and the kind of the frustration of the restaurants trying to manage and manipulate that new space. And so perhaps my thought was maybe collectively the restaurants in town could get together and share some insights with one another to how to improve that. And then maybe I love Marilyn Ezzy's Ashcroft's weekly address in our local paper. It's great, but I hope maybe in the next edition when it comes out or whatever, you might state that it is a new paradigm and people need to understand that and not give bad Yelp reviews or be hostile when waiting in line or argumentative. It's just this is our new normal, and so maybe with your thanks, but it's true. And I've seen that action before. Even myself, even I'm a pretty cool, calm, collected guy, but it's frustrating when I see somebody go by without a mask on, you know, and they're within 3 feet of me, and I'm in that 65 plus age bracket. So anyways, I'll sign off from there.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think any campaign, and I see a comment from Rachel Campos about utilizing bus shelters. We don't have, you know, I think that's possibly a place. I know in San Francisco, actually, the advertising firms have allowed public use of PSA use for some of those shelters. So that's a place we could talk to the business districts and AC Transit about using those. But to your point, as we do shop local, I think we need to also be making that point. Like, this is a new paradigm. Let's, you know, we're all figuring this out together. So let's be compassionate and thoughtful as we do. Mr. Levitt, we have a question in here about from Amy about grape plates delivered. Amy, I don't know if you want to unmute and ask the question, or but I think our city manager is the person to answer the question a little bit.
Yeah, I had just, you know, seen that it was actually going to be handled by the city or the county. I did, you know, I did sign up for it and everything. I just hadn't heard any information past that, you know, if it's going to be county or city or what was happening with it going forward.
So I can answer that. So we had sent out some information yesterday, but it sounds like you're already signed up for your business. So right now in the city, there was some tight deadlines, so it's unsure whether we're going to be able to do it through the city, but the county does have a program. I've been in contact with them. Let me follow up on them and see how they're choosing their restaurants. As I understand, the program requires that restaurants be chosen within a program. So let me double check with Alameda County on how they're going about that process.
Okay, great.
So we have a comment about looking for local resources that could be centralized to help provide. I think that gets back to some of these comments. Again, I do think that there is an opportunity for our community and our business community to come together and really support each other. You know, trying to, if folks are not feeling like they are seeing that happen, you know, I think reaching out to the business districts, letting our economic development staff know, and letting your city council people know. I think all of us I would be shocked if anybody said that's a terrible idea. I think everybody would say, let's figure out how to do that. And sometimes I think in these complex and chaotic times, everybody assumes that somebody else is stepping up to take care of that. So, you know, reach out if you don't see that happening. But I think as we're looking at plastic, you know, plastic shields for stores and whatever else, if we can hire other local businesses to do that, to protect the local jobs, let's I see you, Eric. You know, let's figure out how to do that, because I think we have some fabulous folks who can. We may not even be aware that they have the skills and the abilities to step up and do that. So let's see here. Kathy Weber has a comment. Saw on the recent webinar, we're lining up along the parking meter side. Yeah, I think you know, some guidance and thought you know, from our stores would actually be helpful in thinking through how best to set some social norms. I think that's a really good comment. You know, my kids and I have been talking about, you know, when are we going to get to the point where everybody understands that you either walk in the direction of traffic or walk against traffic, but we're all using one side of the street to go one direction, one side of the street to go the other direction. You know, just so that we're not constantly bumping into people on the sidewalks. Our business districts, our commercial districts, our stores, and things like that, that this is going to be really, really important to work through. Are we, so Cheryl asks Eric, Cheryl, I don't know if you'd like to speak for yourself. Sorry, I'm getting into reading, but asking about parking, I wondered if you wanted to ask a quick question about that. And if not, Eric, do you know that the question is the city considering parking zones for delivery drivers? I don't know where we are in that conversation.
I'm not sure where we are specifically on parking zones for delivery drivers. I do know that planning and transportation have been working with Public Works on a variety of options to try to be able to deal with curbside retail. And I think they've been trying to communicate out, or have been communicating out with Daba and Waba. I'm not sure where they're at on that process as far as parking zones for delivery drivers right now.
Great, thank you. Mr. Kramer,
And if I may,
sorry. Yes, please.
I'm sorry, this is Cheryl, and I'm
Hi.
unmuted now. I'm with Cheryl Navolta Restaurant. And hello, thank you for this. And, you know, I think that it's not only restaurants, but also all the other stores that are doing curbside pickup, that perhaps we need to get a little more creative and think of a valet-like service where once the customer has been texted that their item is ready for pickup, there's a centralized location where they can just pull up in their car and pick up. And then we avoid all of the people lining up on the sidewalks and even needing to come into any of the locations, which is part of what I witness making people wary. Even though I've got a fairly large lobby area, people are preferring to wait outside. So we're seeing what people are indicating as their concerns by their behavior.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. I think that's for me, that's where I really do think, I think it's so important to have, you know, your experience and what you're hearing as a part of this conversation as we're developing this. I think restaurants specifically, especially given that right, everybody wants to eat at the same time, and you know, holy cow, a couple times I've been by Cholita Linda on Park Street. You know, there are sometimes 40 people standing around on the sidewalk, and I have no idea how many of those are Uber Eats and Grubhub and whatever else, but it definitely screams this is not quite working the way it's supposed to. They are doing a decent job of social distancing, and I'm not blaming Cholita Linda, right? These are not. I think they've really come up with at least a really good system there. Yeah, I think we need to be taking that feedback. Going back to Alan Mann's comment earlier, until people feel safe, they are not going to come back. And so I think the place where we can ensure that things are safe and then communicate that things are safe, two things that the city can help with, I think. Not take full-on responsibility for safety. Obviously, there's a city level responsibility, but I don't think we're going to have city staff visiting every store and testing the counters for disinfectant on a daily basis. But working together to really make sure that we have an environment where people feel safe, and also making sure that people are aware that I think we can do this, and I think it's a place where we can, you know, quickly message that Alameda is a safe place to come back to if we're smart, and I think, to me, that is probably one of the biggest marketing messages we could get out there if we can stand behind it. So thank you for your comments. They're very helpful. I don't know how to, I see I'm going to refer to you as the director of the Alameda Kaiser Clinic, because your name comes through as a series of letters and numbers.
So this is Artis Goulart, and
Hello.
I'm the director here. And I just wanted to point out that we're going to slowly start seeing patients on a case-by-case basis. You will not be going through the call center. You'll have to go through your physician's office and sending emails, and they'll send us messages, the call center, and we'll try to monitor what appointments in clinic we will continue to see. However, we're really pushing the telehealth, and we're doing telephone visits and video visits, and they've been very successful. We are trying to figure out a way to get the school-aged children in for their vaccinations. And that's something that I'm immediately working on, especially our kindergarten children and the children that are of 11 years of age. So that if school does start, they will be ready for their vaccines. And we're going to be meeting about that this week. We are looking ahead for how we can go about monitoring and safely getting patients and people through our lines for when the vaccine hopefully does come out, or the flu vaccine too. And we did go to the city in regards to setting up perhaps a tent over in our parking lot that we own across the street. We did go to the city. There is quite a few permits we have to fill out, and a lot of liability coverage insurance stuff. We are going to look at trying to get some security there. This probably won't happen until later this summer, but I just wanted to give each of you a heads up as to what we're doing here.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And thank you to all your staff who are continuing to work in person and you know, putting themselves on the front line. John Frangoulis, you have a question and a comment. And I'm just going to flag, we've got about 13 minutes here. I know that there are some closing comments. Yeah, yes. Anyway, Mr. Frangoulis, hi.
The county program for the great, for the seniors was, applications was due yesterday morning, yesterday at 2 o'clock. So it is, they are going to pick up 5 people in Alameda and San Leandro area, and the total of 25 people for the county. I have made the proposal before, and I want to say it again that in my view, the city should try to raise money to provide loans to small business, because coming this fall, the impact of the coronavirus will be much more sensitive for the small business during September, October, November, December. And if we do not have a means to provide small loans for the business, many of them will go under. So I cannot emphasize, I personally try to, and I don't need to do that myself, because I think I took care of it. But if we do not want to lose a big number of our small business, the city should consider coming up with a city bond to provide not grants, but small loans for small business to stay afloat.
That's great. Thank you. We are having some of those conversations already. The mayor brought forth an idea of creating a foundation grant where we could actually raise community money as well. But we are definitely having those conversations right now on a number of levels, both private and public side of things. So thank you for the comment. I completely agree with you. I think we are currently in the economics the economic meltdown of the health emergency, and we are going to come out of this, and then we're going to have the economic impacts of maintaining the post-COVID recovery period, which I think is going to be a very difficult period for us, and we need to be planning now for what is to come. So thank you for that comment, Rachel Campos.
Really quickly, I've been thinking a lot about how we can use our public-private spaces as an extension of our business districts. Park Street has Alameda Avenue that I know they've been really interested in trying to find ways to activate that. Webster Street, we have the Taylor Lot or Lot W, which are both areas that I think could be utilized as flex spaces that perhaps could enable businesses to bring a portion of their business out into the open air. You know, think Friday or Saturday night, there's picnic tables that people can make a reservation at so they can have their family dinner outside and still socially distanced, or those spaces could be used for tatami fitness or Alameda personal training so they can bring their classes outside and continue to have business coming through. So it's in some ways the lowest hanging fruit, but I also recognize it's challenging from liability and maintenance and all of that. But I think we need to make the most out of those areas.
100% agree. Yes, absolutely. And then tying also back into, as you were speaking, I was thinking about Mr. Mooney's comment earlier about setting up some sort of delivery system as well. I think we just need to find different ways to allow people to come and interact with our businesses, and you know, whether it's being there in person and sharing space to allow that, or finding better ways to get them the food as well is good. But no, I think that's a great comment. Thank you very much for that. And hopefully we can start moving some of these topics forward while the weather's good. Be unfortunate to get to November and kick off some of these things right as the rain, hopefully, knock on wood, starts coming. So I don't see anybody else with their hands raised. I don't see any other comments with people having questions or comments. I'll ask. We have like 2 minutes left. City Manager Levitt, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to wrap up, and then I was going to, Mayor Ashcraft had some comments she'd like to make.
Oh, no, I just want to thank everyone for taking the last hour to be on this. I think it's been very valuable from my side, and I'm sure from economic development side. I've liked several of your ideas. I think it's really good, and it's great to have different concepts and questions coming forward. So I appreciate again everyone taking the time today.
Yeah. Yes, thank you very much. And I'll be back in a second to wrap up, but Mayor Ashcraft, the floor is yours. It's possible you're muted on your computer and your headset. A fate that
I'm unmuted. Now I'm unmuted. Nah, we've been doing Zoom for a while here. Well, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you to the Vice Mayor and the City Manager for putting this together. I have taken copious notes of your suggestions and ideas, and this one just came to mind. Something I wanted to share when Donna Chang was speaking about her question about the parking lot possible like drive-through treatments and all. That is an Alameda County public health issue. However, every Wednesday at noon, I'm on a conference call with Alameda County Public Health for city managers and mayors around the county, and we always get to ask questions. And so, with your permission, I will ask that question, I mean, in a general sense. And I just wanted to put out to the rest of you listening, if you have any public health related questions that you would like asked of the county public health officer, I am happy to do that. I can either email them or I can ask them in real time during the call. Just email me, mezzyashcraft@alamedaca.gov. The calls are Wednesday at noon, so email before then. The thing about John, I know, mentioned Tesla, and he hoped that Alameda County Public Health isn't governing or making decisions by Twitter. Absolutely not. In fact, the public health officers of all 6 Bay Area counties and the city of Berkeley are working together in concert. They're rolling out some of the reopenings differently depending on the situation in their county. As far as Elon Musk, I think Elon is wanting to get arrested just to make a statement. An hour ago, the Alameda County Public Health Department ordered him to shut down the operations at Tesla because the main thing is that we have to get past this COVID-19 public health crisis because we want you to open up and open up safely and stay opened up and not have to go back to another shelter in place once we get past this. So we will be rolling out gradually according to the orders of our public health officers, and things like family dinners and outdoor exercise classes will come eventually. We're not there yet though, because this is still, we're just getting into stage 2, but we'll keep you really well advised of that. But really good ideas that I've heard. And then the other thing is, thank you, Peter Wolf, for your suggestion about newspaper articles. I'm always looking for ways to keep the community advised, and I will put that in there. As I say to my council every week or every 2 weeks before we meet, please everybody be patient with me. This remote meeting stuff is new. Be patient with each other. And this is the time we need to support our businesses in our community. And I thank you all for being such an important part of the fabric of our community. We want to support you, so thank you for helping us with the input on how to do that. Thank you, John. As I tell you guys at the meeting, I'm done. Give me that signal.
That's right.
Over and out. Thank you.
Another social norm, right?
High tech, low tech, right?
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you for sharing those comments. So I would like to thank everybody. I want to honor the 1 hour. We're gonna end a little early, but what I think is really important, your city council, your city staff, your business districts, everybody is really trying to figure this out. As one of our wise commenters said, I believe it, actually I don't remember exactly who it was. We need to take care of each other. We need to be patient and compassionate and realize that everybody really is working for the best of our community. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't point out when we think some things could be done differently and better, because none of us have the answer. We have lots of ideas, and we're going to do this together. So I just really want to thank everybody for taking the time. Like I said, Thursday night, the City of Alameda, the Mayor's Economic Development Advisory Panel, the EDAP, will be meeting. The agenda is very broad. How do we reopen? And I think if you've either had ideas or heard ideas that you think are worthwhile, emailing emailing that group, your comments now will help them enter the conversation with your thoughts on mind as well. We're gonna, I know you have a lot of these. I know there's another business meeting at 2 o'clock, and then there's a business economic panel on Thursday afternoon. This is the time of meetings, and I just appreciate you taking the time to share your comments and thoughts with me today. So thank you very much. Let me know how I can help you. I am here to help each and every one of you. I hope you're all safe. And I wish you well, and we're going to get through this together. Thank you very much. Have a great week.